You know, when we picture a lion pride, what comes to mind? Probably family, right? Strength, safety. But there's a whole other side to it. A much darker, more strategic game, where a cub's life is literally on the line from the moment it's born.
Yeah, exactly like the documentary says. For a little cub, being born into a stable pride, well, it seems like the jackpot. I mean, this is their entire world, and on the surface, it looks like the perfect world. Lions are the only big cats that are truly social, and that whole society is built around community.
And the perks are huge, right? A cub doesn't just have its mom looking out for it. It's got a whole team of ants watching its back. There's always someone to play with, to practice those pouncing skills. And get this, the lionesses even share nursing duties, so a cub is almost never hungry. It really looks like a foolproof system.
But what if that's not the whole story? What if the biggest threat to a cub comes from inside the pride itself? Yeah, this is where that perfect idyllic picture, it's about to get really complicated. Because the most dangerous enemy isn't always out there in the savannah. Sometimes it's right there at home.
So we're talking about the enemy within. And for a tiny lion cub, believe it or not, the #1 danger isn't some hyena sneaking around or a buffalo's hoof. Nope, the single biggest threat it's likely to face is another male lion.
This behavior has a name. It's called infanticide. And yeah, it sounds absolutely monstrous. But from a purely biological point of view, it's all about cold, hard logic. It's about genetics. It's brutal, for sure, but also a brutally effective way for a lion to make sure his own legacy survives.
And the numbers here are just wow. Researchers estimate that this accounts for about 1/4 of all cub deaths in their first year. Let that sink in. 1 out of every 4 cubs that's born is killed by another lion. It's a massive, massive factor in their survival.
So why? Why does this happen? Well, think about it. When a new group of males takes over a pride, the clock is ticking. They might only have a couple of years to pass on their genes. The lionesses, though, are busy nursing cubs from the old males. And while they're nursing, they're not receptive to mating. So by killing the cubs, these new males hit a genetic reset button. They wipe out the old DNA, and this is the key, it brings the females back into heat so they can start their own families right away.
Okay, so if you're the dad, the current king of the pride, your #1 job is preventing this. You have to protect your kids from these challengers. So, how do you do it? How do you protect your legacy? Well, scientists have looked at 2 main strategies, 2 big ideas for how a father lion defends his family.
And it really boils down to a strategic choice. Do you play bodyguard? Stay super close to the cubs, guard them directly. That's what they call the infant defense hypothesis. Or do you play border patrol? Go on the offensive, patrol the edges of your territory aggressively, and stop rivals before they even get a sniff of the cubs. That's the territorial defense hypothesis.
And it turns out we have a pretty clear answer. A recent study from 2024 pretty much settled it. The best defense is a good offense. The territorial defense strategy wins. What they found is that fathers with cubs don't hang back. They push out to the edges of their territory. They actively seek out competitors and engage them on the borders. And they fight so hard that the rivals retreat way, way further than they normally would. All of this is happening on the periphery, keeping the females and cubs safe and sound, tucked away in the center of the territory.
But wait, the males aren't the only ones with a playbook here. This isn't just their game. The lionesses have their own incredibly clever counter strategy, and theirs is less about brute force and more about, well, a kind of psychological warfare.
And to understand it, we need to look at a really cool difference between African lions and their cousins, the Asiatic lions in India. See, in Africa, you have these coalitions of males who own a pride of females. But in Asia, it's kind of flipped. The females form the prides, and their territories overlap with a bunch of different, unrelated males. This totally different social setup, it opens the door for a brand new strategy.
So what's the strategy? It's genius, really. The Asiatic lioness mates with lots of different males in the area. The result is what scientists call paternity confusion. It's brilliant because no single male can be sure if the cubs are his or not. And you can bet a male is going to think twice about killing a cub if there's even a small chance it's his own offspring.
But these amazing strategies, the father's fierce defense, the mother's clever confusion, they're not foolproof. This is still the wild. And in the brutal math of survival, sometimes the whole system just breaks down. And it can be truly heartbreaking.
Because the threat isn't always another lion.
Sometimes it's just not enough. Not enough food, not enough resources, and a lioness might be forced to make an impossible choice. She might abandon a cub that's weak, or if it's the only one left in a litter. It's known as filial infanticide. And it sounds awful, but you have to understand it's not about cruelty. It's a calculated, pragmatic choice to conserve her energy, to cut her losses so she can try again later with a bigger, stronger litter she knows she can raise. It's all about playing the long game for her own reproductive success.
Now, in a zoo, it's a completely different world. If a mother abandons her cubs there, it triggers this massive human intervention. An entire protocol kicks in. Keepers basically become surrogate moms with special milk formulas, 24/7 health monitoring, the whole 9 yards. It's just such a stark, incredible contrast to the unforgiving reality of the wild.
So what does this all tell us? This whole complex dance of threat and counter strategy, it shows that being a lion isn't just about being a big, strong hunter. It's about playing a high-stakes, lethal game of chess. So you have to wonder, right? Is this brutal cycle, this constant pressure to be smarter and stronger just to make it past your first year, is that the very thing that forges a lion into the resilient, powerful king of the jungle we see?